you had a Cadillac for sale, did you not? Or did you post it? What do you?
Hey,
you're the caddy guy.
If you're not hustling, you're sleeping. So this wasn't it. This was not the Cadillac for sale.
Yeah.
This is the caddy from season 1. Season 1, episode 6, triple black Cadillac.
Is that a 3? What year is that?
4. 6. Well, how would you know? Oh, that's just the other day when I picked it up.
That's badass. Those wheels are kick-ass too.
Yeah. Yep. I mean, I'm going to fall in love all over again looking at these pictures.
Let's go for a ride, Shag.
You clearly had too much blood in your alcohol system.
I didn't say I stopped drinking on Sunday. I'm just telling you that I'm still hungover from those days.
Oh,
yeah,
God.
My ass is dragging.
And I turned around and I said, "You just missed 10 grand." He goes, "Why?" And I said, "Because that was me being a dick."
No fucking way.
I'm
no way.
As you can imagine, there's no situation in the world where somebody thinks Lou was too loud.
Yeah.
I can hear you laugh from here, not through the stream, but from
That's true. That is true. Hold on for a sec. Do you think we should explain these hats or no? Just keep on going?
Just keep on going. Just keep on going. They'll pick it up when we bring on our guest.
You need to do is check out DEI, Design Engineering Incorporated. They keep the heat out so you're not sweating to death. Check them out.
I do like that. I do like that. It's perfect, and it's perfect for the show. It really is.
That first DEI commercial was the bomb. That thing was the best.
We thought so too. It's
all these guys, the way you use it, it's okay.
Yeah.
Been with my wife since 94. Met her in 94, got married in 97. Lou, when we met, she said, "Don't even talk about sex until we get married." After we were married, she said, "You can talk about it all you want." So, it ain't happening. I'll tell you, I got it rough. I'll tell you.
I think there was like probably 30 or 40 extras, on set that day. And when they started asking, who here can drive a 6 shift? This is like 30 or 40 extras. None of them could.
What?
And it's like, then the directors yell at me, "Why'd you bring these cars with clutch pedals?" It's like, well, that's the only way these old Land Cruisers came. There was no automatic. So anyways, we had to test a couple of my mechanics as terrorists and put them in the cars to. So
it's cool. It's cool. It's got
different folks, different strokes.
But you start getting dizzy. There you go.
Kane's got to throw that up. He's breaking my balls ever since.
Look at that guy. Look at that librarian.
Man, we could talk for weeks about this stuff.
Oh, hey! I was zoning out. Don't mind me. I had a moment. I was getting comfortable. You know what? Tonight we got a really good show. We have another YouTuber, Jared Pink, wrench every day. That's the guy. And I think he is a corn binder guy because every video I see of him, it looks like he's got old internationals that he's working on. And it's just really cool stuff because I'm a corn binder guy myself. So here's what we're going to do. We're going to hang out a little bit, and I'll tell you real quick how he became a guest on the show. My friend Eugene, who lives down in Georgia, said, "Hey, have you ever thought about having Jared Pink?" And I said, "Well, why not?" And he said, "Okay, I'll get him to call you." And he did. Next thing you know, we got him lined up, and we got Tavares next week. So we got some people coming in and we got YouTubers coming in because we got to spread the wealth. We got to have everybody on board. So we're going to do a DEI commercial. And when we come back, it's going to be John and me. And then we're bringing Jared. Go for it.
What you need to do is check out DEI, Design Engineering Incorporated. They keep the heat out so you're not sweating to death. Check them out.
John.
What? Listen, I was just calling Ken. Today's got to get better. That's all there is to it. He said his computer went out. He had to run in the other room. He's watching it 7 seconds delayed like everybody else. And when they hit the button, tell me what to do. Then he said he was okay. Then he replayed the intro. But, he just got out of the hospital. Ken had COVID, was in the hospital for 4 or 5 days. Not sure what they were giving him, but yeah. He's alive. He sounds good. Have not seen him. Just thank God he made it.
Yeah, no kidding.
We're all good. But my thing was to him, which I didn't get a chance to ask him, Will, knowing and feeling like he did, would he take the vaccine? If he could have circumvented what he just went through for 20 days, would he take the vaccine?
Yeah, but the thing is that they're saying now that taking the vaccine doesn't mean you're not going to get it.
No, I know.
Now, and I also heard that there's people saying, and there's reports coming out that the vaccine is just like the flu vaccine. What strain do you have? You know what I mean? Because it's already changed into something else. So it's just going to be one of those things, man.
Yeah, I guess you heard Pfizer, they're saying was approved, fully approved. Now, I've seen things online where they're saying it's not true. What they did is they extended the emergency use authorization letter. So well, I don't know what to believe because, the internet's crazy. But here's the one thing that I have seen is when you see, just like everybody, when you watch the drug commercials, and they spend 15 seconds telling you the side effects are this, up into, including death. And then you say to yourself, why would you even take that? Now, I've seen commercials where they promote get vaccine. Now, they don't mention which one, but they're talking about one of three.
Oh, yeah.
And they never,
that's exactly what they're talking about.
No matter who it is, never tells you, oh, by the way, here's the side effects. Now, I went searching today to try to find a report of the testing that they did. Of course, there's no long-term side effects because it's not been long enough. But how do you approve something without long-term side effects?
I was just surfing around and I read a thing. I don't know if it was true, but supposedly Congress went to the FDA and said, if you don't give it approval, we're going to pull your funding. Now, I don't know how true that is. But, the thing is what my nephew's in the Marine Corps, and he said that they told them today it's been approved. And if you do not get the shot, if you refuse it, they're kicking you out with another than honorable discharge. That's what he said. They got everybody together, and that's what they told him.
Well, when you join the military, you give up your rights. You know that. We talked about that before.
I understand that. But, the thing is to me, this is a different set of circumstances because this shit has not been tested. They don't know what's going to happen. They have no idea.
Lou, they do that with everything, though, because you and I talked about that. When I went to give blood, did you take the vaccine? This was 3 or 4 months ago. Did you take the vaccine? Have you been, near or close to anybody that's had COVID? And then, of course, just like always, because they're the new questions about the COVID, the vaccine, and who and what and where, they always have, did you serve in the military from 89 to 2000 something? Were you in Europe, France, and they name a bunch of countries? And you and I have talked, you can't give blood because you fit in that list.
I can't. Yeah.
So what were they giving you then?
Yeah.
That they weren't sure of, that now is on that list to where Red Cross will not accept you for whatever reason.
Yep.
What's in?
Oh,
it?
yeah.
So are they doing the same thing today?
And the thing is like with me, when they told me I couldn't give blood, I said, well, is there a shelf life? I mean, is it going to be one of those things I can give blood in 10 years? Like, we have no idea.
Yeah.
Like, okay.
List. You're on the list.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It makes no sense.
It doesn't. I just want the information to make an informed decision. Everybody's asking me, you're going to get it? You're going to get it? What are you going to do? I sit there and say, I need the information. I have not seen it. I also heard the guy that runs Pfizer used to be in charge of the FDA. So that being the case, politics, because that's pretty much like a lobbyist. Pfizer goes, hey, come on over. We're going to give you millions of dollars. You can get our stuff pumped through because you used to be in charge. And those same guys you used to work with are still over at the FDA. You know how that works.
Yeah.
That's all politics 101.
Yeah. It's crazy.
There's no head of the FDA now. They got a temp person, but nobody's been approved to be the commissioner of the FDA.
Oh, that's right. You said that before.
If it was a different president, they'd be going, this is the most important part. This is a critical time. You should have somebody, but they don't even talk about this, that there's nobody in charge. But it seems like to me, the person that says, I'll get it approved, I'll do it. You're now in charge of the FDA. Put your name on the line, do what you need to do, and push it through.
Yeah.
It's pretty crazy.
Yeah, it is. It makes no sense. And there's a bigger picture going on that we don't know about. You know what I mean? Yeah. I mean, right here, Kevin is saying, has anyone asked seriously, why are they pushing this so hard? Yeah. I mean, I ask that question all the time, Kevin. And all I get from people is, oh, you must have voted for the orange man, or you're a racist. It's so ridiculous. It's so ridiculous. And I'm not going to get the vaccination. I'm going to be the last guy in line to get it. I'm going to do everything I can not to get it because no one's giving you an answer, One
of the side effects is blood clots. You already have issues with blood clots.
Right.
So you're taking a real big chance taking it. Really, because you don't know if that doubles up or what it does to you.
Right.
It's a gamble.
Yeah, and
it's all a gamble. I don't know.
I'm not doing it. So,
but anyhow, I just traveled back from West Virginia, spent a few days shooting for Horse TV.
West by God, Virginia. Damn it, John. Get it right. I tell you that all the time.
Nice area, nice people. I'll tell you, really relaxed.
Yeah.
Things went well. Of course, the guys from Horse TV were there. We did, pretty good. It was nonstop, day to night. But all worked out really well. Of course, nobody was wearing masks, no social distancing. We were karaoke in it. And
karaoke.
All kinds of crazy stuff, but it was pretty cool. You know what I mean?
That's awesome. That's good. Yeah. So did they get rid of all the horses to good homes?
They auctioned off 34 or 37, but no, they still have a bunch that are left. I forget. I think it was like 60 to begin with.
Oh man.
It was actually slow. The numbers were low compared to last year as far as the prices.
Right.
But to be fair, you got to be clear that when you bid and take in one of the horses that are in the rescue, they cold brand the horse on the left shoulder, and you actually don't get to keep the horse. If something happens with you where you can't take care of it, or you feel it has to go to another home or something, whatever, you have to turn it back into the Heart of Phoenix.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. So they always, what the deal is they promised the horse that it'll never go back through whatever it went through, which is fair. So they keep tabs on it. And if they have had people that have sold it and, figured out how you're going to catch me, whatever, and they have hunted those horses down, tracked them down 1,000 miles away, go get them, say it's ours, come back. So they're real serious. I mean, and the backstories of some of the trainers, because they donate all their time to train the horses. Right. Some of them are in the wild, some of them are abused. But it's their time. They try to get sponsors, and they rehabilitate the horses and then turn around and auction them off to good homes. Of course, people that are interested follow along to see the progress. But it is pretty cool to see a wild horse in 100 days, pretty much do tricks. You know what I mean? It's incredible that you take it where you can't even touch it day one, and the guy's pulling a cart with it at the show.
Right.
At the end of the summer. It's impressive. It really is.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what about you? When's the last time you talked to Jared? Speaking of Jared.
I haven't talked to Jared. I gotta call him. I just haven't called him. It's my fault. He did Speed Week, so I was it's the second week he's back, so I got to get a hold of him, see what he's got going on. Maybe we'll have him come on and we'll tell lies. We'll do something.
Why not?
Right?
Yeah.
We'll figure something out. I just haven't done it. I've been bad about it. I admit it.
Got to follow up. Time flies. Summer's over. Days are getting shorter.
I know, man. I know. Plus, I got something I want to send him, and I just got to do it. I just haven't done it yet. I got something I want to send him now, so we'll make that happen.
Yeah.
Yep. So just something cool, and I know he'd appreciate it. So we'll make it happen. Other than that, that's about it, man. Oh, and my back is better, so I'm actually gonna start working in the shop in my shop on Monday. I haven't gotten my school schedule yet. We're waiting to find out what's going on with that. So hopefully we won't go in another stupid lockdown, and I'll just be able to do the school and do Garageinsidertv, because I'm ready to go. Like I got some stuff I got to do to the S10 and get it prepped, but it's almost done.
Yeah.
And I got to work on the red S10 so I can drive it to SEMA. What I need to do is I got to find someone who's willing to pay me to go hang out in their booth. Yeah. That's what I need to do.
Flights for me are $650. $650 today. Yeah. And
but dude, if you fly, you got to have a shot.
I can get one of those off the internet. I get a card off the internet.
Hey, you can't say that out loud. The FBI
I get a death certificate too. Coffins are half price. I'll be in the coffin. Wake me up when we get there. Bag of peanuts. I'm good.
All right, come on. Let's get Jared in here. So let's do that quick commercial break, and when we come back, we're gonna have Jared, and we'll go from there.
Sounds good. Ken, hit it. He's working on.
For more than 25 years, DEI has been controlling heat and sound, all with products developed to protect components and drivers alike, and has become the standard by which all heat and sound control is measured. Each product is developed with solutions to problems in mind. DEI knows when it comes to making and keeping horsepower, heat is the enemy. Innovative technology allows us to develop the highest quality products, quality driven, and that's why the best builders and race teams in the world use DEI.
Yo,
Jared.
Hey, how's it going?
What's happening, man?
Man, I am actually incredibly excited to be sitting down and chatting with you guys. It's not a spot I expected to be in, but
I don't understand that. That doesn't make any sense to me.
You got to lower your standards. You got to lower your standards, Jared.
Exactly. I don't get that.
We're at a point that we're more or less peers, and I never growing up pictured we'd hit that point. So it's kind of really cool to have an opportunity to hang out.
Hey man, I never tried to get into TV. It just happened. And then I turned up doing three different shows and a bunch of interviews. It's just, I don't know. I had never planned on it, but it's cool. I mean, I've gotten to do things that I would have never gotten to do if it wasn't for TV. But it's just one of those things, man. To me, if you build cars, you're cool. That's all there is to it. It's just how I look at it,
You managed the wrong place at the right time and fell into the whole career. That's kind of what happened to me. So
yeah. So how did you get it? How did you get into it? How did you get? I mean, what's your? I mean, I was looking at the notes, but tell everybody.
Well, so first off, Wrench Every Day, the channel that I'm on was kind of started by Tavarish as the budget friendly. His channel became nothing but super high end exotics, and he wanted to just kind of do the hoopty stuff, the fun stuff.
Right.
And he and I met. I had those project cars that you just work on forever, and I had been gathering parts, selling parts, gathering parts, and I was sitting on a cylinder head for 2 years, and finally decided to list it for sale the same week that Tavarish was looking to buy one for a project, his super project, and he buys that from me. We recognize each other, who we were. I worked at a company called Speed for Sale that in the Toyota Super world was very, very prominent, very big, and he was trying to do a sponsorship deal through the company. The owner said, you know, YouTube is worthless. There's no future in it. And I told him, hey, let's do it anyway. So he invited me to go on a rally with him, and I'd pick him up in my Lexus ISF, and we do this Dust Ball rally, became fantastic friends. Right as the shop is closing, the owner kind of ran it into the ground. We did everything we could. And he said, hey, why don't you take over this channel with me and go for it? So, you know, kind of that, I'd never planned to do YouTube. I started off building cars and, you know, just having fun with that and making things go fast. And suddenly I've got an audience that's been hugely supportive and have had fantastic growth. And again, it's led to experiences and things I never imagined I would be doing in life. So
yeah. It's cool because there's a lot of stuff that you would just not be able to do if you're a single man shop or even working in a bigger shop. You just can't do them. And because of YouTube or TV, it opens up so many doors to get to stuff like that. Like I started doing this as soon as I got into TV. I always get at least 2 sets of credentials for SEMA. And people who want to go, I just tell them, look, you got to get there. I'll give you the credentials. You know, and a couple of years ago, a bunch of the guys that I was stationed with, there was 12 guys that I was stationed with, and they all went to SEMA, and I got everybody credentials so they could get in. You know what I mean?
And experience.
Yeah, but you know, the thing is, you know, you just can't go. It's a closed show, you know.
He's gone.
Oh, got so excited to. Oh,
there he's back.
I don't know what happened. I don't know. It's what I do.
But you're giving away too many credentials to SEMA, the industry-only show.
The industry just tried to cut me off. That's what happened.
Garrett, are you going to
Don't
SEMA?
let him take you away.
Are you going to SEMA or not?
Yeah, I'll be at SEMA this year. We are working on a couple potential appearances signing. If not, I'll be wandering around. I'm the incredibly tall, awkward guy. But we were going to try to bring 3 cars and then remembered how incredibly difficult just getting 1 car is. So Tavarish will have one of his cars there. None of the Wrench Everyday cars. Granted, I've seen SEMA quality cars where they look really good from a distance. A lot of our cars don't look good from the distance. They look good up close, which doesn't match what SEMA's looking for. So
right.
Yeah, it's got to take a good picture.
Yeah. All my trucks have drive shafts installed. So
right. They all move on their own. It's important. Yeah. I understand. So what's the deal with the corn binders, man? Are you like a serious corn binder guy?
Oh man, I love the international harvesters, and that game in like I loved cool old trucks, and I always like obscure, unusual vehicles. And I had met a friend back when I was working at a dealership, Randy Groenhof, whose grandfather sold them new, and he is in Georgia. If you're getting an international built, you're going to GRC Fabrication, and he's building it for you. Like, he is the best in the area, and he's been an awful, horrible influence along the way. Most of all of my internationals have been 71s. Right. Started off with a 71 Scout 2, which was the first year that I accidentally bought. We went to look at it because I wanted my own truck, and walked up, and it was abysmal shape. He was asking 2,000 when 600 was a lot. And I go back to the guy's house, and I'm like, man, it's too far rusted. The doors didn't line up. There's screws holding tailgates in. Like, it wasn't worth keeping. And he's like, no, make me an offer. And I'm like, listen, I really not interested. He's like, no, make an offer. And I'm like, well, I only brought $200 for a deposit. And he threw his hand out faster than he could. And I accidentally bought my first Scout 2. And then ended up buying a 71 800B, which is a Scout. It's the one Ford laid some trace paper over and made the Bronco from. And that was one of 1,500 called the Comanche. And it was, again, too far gone, but it was a reasonable price this time. Went and bought it, and I sent my wife a picture because I didn't tell her about it ahead of time, and she's just like, ha, funny, and then showed her another picture of it on the trailer behind our truck, and then we had the conversation when we got home. But that's just a fun truck that I run around now and can bang up the sheet metal. And then the real well-known International that I have is a 71 1010D, designating that as independent front suspension, and it was one of the Johnny Reb editions. It had a Confederate soldier character on the side. I think there was 463 of them sold, only in the Carolinas, Georgia, and Alabama. Yep, there's a good picture of it there. And that is a truck that I was on the fence about selling. First off, the guy who was selling it had it for sale for 2 years, and I ended up trading him a Dana 60 heavy-duty 1-ton front axle, Glock, and $800 for it, I think. So I got a really good deal, in my opinion. And, and I was on the fence about selling it. Freddie saw it, fell in love with it, and said, we've got to build this truck. So I worked with the guys at J&J Auto Wrecking. They're real good. If you're just looking for used parts, they're awesome guys. And he set us up. I wanted to do a Crown Vic front end. That's what everyone does. It's simple, bolts in, holds all the suspension. And he's like, well, we don't have any Fords. I have this Corvette suspension. So we were like, sure, let's try it. So he sends me an entire C5 front subframe, independent suspension, and everything. And then we were going to put an LS on the frame rails like you normally would. But Wrench Every Day's motto is make questionable choices. And we're looking at a Corvette subframe that has all the provisions to hold an LS down on the subframe. So we thought, why not? Let's put it down there. And that turned, like 45 minutes worth of welding and engine up on subframes and done, into weekends and weekends of cutting and notching frames and trying different manifolds, and just, it was so much work. But at the end, I love the way the truck drives. The drive shaft goes up to the rear end. The exhaust crossover goes above the transmission because there's no room for it to go underneath. And it ended up 13 inches back and 8 inches down from the factory mounting location.
Damn it, man.
I can go in the mountains and I am flying around AMGs, Mercedes, like different Mercedes, some of the little Miata guys up there, that old rusty farm truck just screaming around, just having a blast. So absolutely awesome. Love the old Internationals there. It's just, again, it's not for a company that's not made a truck since 1980. Every time you go to a gas station, there's 4 people that come up and tell you the story about, I learned to drive in it. My grandfather sold them. My dad had one on the farm. There's so many stories tied to the International Harvester Company. That it's cool to have a small part in preserving the history. I did get a lot of kickback. The Glock was about $600. See that question popping up. Wasn't a special one, but so many people got upset that we modified such a rare truck, and had to constantly explain rare doesn't mean valuable.
Right.
Just because it's one
people
of one,
don't get that.
It doesn't make it more valuable. Again, my other International, it's one of 1,500. There's not that many people looking for them, and they're like, how could you modify it so heavily? And I'm like, Navistar, who owns the International brand, doesn't even recognize production numbers of the Johnny Reb. It's taken Bruce Shealy and some of the other International corn binder historians a ton of work to figure out how many of these things even existed, because in the political correct climate, you don't want to talk about a Confederate soldier truck. So they're like, how could you modify it? I'm like, one, it was for sale for 2 years. No one else bought it. So you had your chance to restore it. There's 2 of them already. One of them is a complete survivor showroom condition truck, and another one's a perfectly restored truck. We don't need 3, and I don't want to have one. I want a truck that I can drive, not worry about. When I've got the 2015 Duramax 3500 air-conditioned seats, if I'm just running downtown to get some lumber or something, I'm going to jump in Johnny. It is so much more fun to just have this loud, rowdy truck, old truck, that I'm not worried about denting the tailgate or the bed in a little bit. Whereas the nice, pretty truck, sometimes you're a little extra more careful loading something in, not wanting to dent it. So
Yeah,
it's so much fun to drive that thing.
that's cool. I'd love to get a Travelall, either that or a Travelette. I want like a 67. That's the body style I like. So that's the C series trucks, and I don't know if he still has one. Randy might have had one. I'll text him later, and I'll text you tomorrow. That may not be a good thing to say you want. I don't care about the suspension. I'm not worried about that. As long as I can get a decent body. I'd get rid of my square body Suburbans for one of them.
Yeah,
like it wouldn't even be an issue. I got one I got to strip out anyway because it's from Buffalo and it's all rusted out. Yeah. I got the perfect drivetrain for something like that, man. I would so rock that.
Again, they're just so cool because you look at the Travelettes, the 4-door trucks. So some of the small things that they did in them. In the back, they have a very weird cab in that the top sits further back than where your shoulders would be. And that's just for headroom. So that way you could be there with a hard hat or just have more room for your head. And it looks a little weird, but it was built around comfort. And it's just simple utilitarian things that you don't necessarily see anymore.
Well, and they're just, I've got I think it's a 58 in the yard right now. It looks just like a 67, but it's got a different grille and 4 headlights. I was told it's a 58 or a 60. That's what I was told, but I'm not savvy with them, and it's just sitting there. And I got it for nothing, actually. I was building a 67 for this gentleman years ago, and I was looking. He wanted the international script that they had on the hood.
Yep.
So I found a truck, and it was sitting in this guy's yard forever. And I said, "Hey, man, would you sell the international emblems? I'm doing one." He goes, "Yeah, I'll sell it to you for $100, but you got to take the whole truck." So that's how I turned up with the whole truck. And all I did was pull the emblems off the hood.
That's unreal. Well, and everything in the used car market, collector car market's insane. Internationals have exploded where, a really nice truck would be $9,000 to $10,000. Now they're up there. I've seen some $60,000, $70,000, which is just insane. That
it's crazy.
Again, these ultra, like, I've looked at my 800 a couple times, and it's like I could probably invest $15,000 into this truck and have a $40,000 truck. But then I remembered taking it off road and bouncing in a tree or two, and just how much fun I have driving it. And it's like, that money can be made somewhere else. The enjoyment of the vehicle is worth way too much to me.
Yeah, you're right. I mean that's the thing, man. As long as you enjoy it, that's what matters. I mean, I don't care if people build cars and they sit in their garage. That's their own business. But what's the point? You know what I mean? There's no point in that to me. I'd rather be driving it and having a good time with it.
I'm wondering where top is because prices are crazy, and it seems like in a year they've gone up like 40% across the board.
Yeah.
So where's the top, and when does it stop or retract? Can't keep going.
Yeah, and then how much does it pop and go? Toyota Supras, again, that's where I cut my teeth a tremendous amount. And I never pictured a $200,000 Toyota Supra. We used to just cut and build them however we needed to. And then it started going and advancing to the point that we had to, what can we undo to preserve value? And that's when they just started climbing into the $80,000 mark. So
let's run through. Yeah, let's run through some of the other builds, Garrett.
So this one here, I was going to say, is that Ken telling us it's time to move on? So
he may be slipping and just hitting buttons. I don't know. He may have passed out. We got to check on him.
Yeah. So this is actually Tavares's first big build. So back in the days, he built the Nissan Maximas a fair bit, but this was his first front to back build. It had a Toyota 1JZ engine, which was never sold in the United States. It's a 2.5 liter twin turbo engine. And it's based on a Lexus SC300 that he had it customized and painted and sold. And kind of as a get him his first car back restoration fun bit for the channel, we tracked it down. I bought it back from the guy who sold it to and surprised him with it. And initially we were going to rebuild that car, but it came from New Jersey. Rust was just catastrophic throughout. So it became, okay, let's take everything out of this. Let's take the engine. Let's build the car 20-year-old Tavares wanted to build on the channel, but do it with a little, still on a budget, but a little bit better budget on a nicer platform. So we stripped everything we needed out of it. And on YouTube, I should have sent a little video clip of this, but we thought it would be a stick to then take it to the crusher. I called a local recycler and I said, hey, would you mind us filming? And can you kind of go over the top when we pull up with this car? And we pull up to the salvage yard. Lady said that particular guy wasn't there, but he'll be back soon. So we're parked waiting, just kind of chatting. All of a sudden we hear the excavator start just clunking its way over. He pulls right up. I told him the car would be recognizable. So thankfully, it wasn't someone else with a graffitied car not wanting it crushed in front of him. But he just grabs it and is just folding this thing over and pile drives it in the ground and crushes it in front of Tavares. And it was a mixture of kind of shock and hilarious all at once, because here's a car he spent hours of his life, like days and days building, just getting pile drive and folded in half in front of him. And an excavator is a powerful piece of equipment, but that thing folded so easy. Like, yes, we expected it to crunch, but how simply it folded in half. The rocker panels were so rusted out. It's a unibody car. That's where your strength is. Yeah. And it just collapsed. And it was like, that was the right call. We kept the hood. It's hung on the wall of his shop as a little bit of a souvenir of it. But so we now had all of the Lexus parts, the 1JZ and everything, and we were going to put them into his SC. And then he had the idea, after riding in my ISF, that he wanted to build the world's first SCF. So in front of you now is a 2008 Lexus ISF. It's kind of a sleeper in the sense that there's 11,000 globally. I think there's only 5,200 in the state. It looks like your pedestrian IS 250 or 350, but it has a 420 horsepower V8 with the world's first 8-speed automatic transmission. And it's blistering fast and a ton of fun. So we're taking all of that drivetrain, the V8, the automatic, some of the interior components, the brakes, and putting them into a 97 SC300 that we bought, again, to put all of the original Lexus parts into. So finding him his whole first car was exercise and futility. We're not using really anything from it. We're going with a different body kit, whole different drivetrain. And, but it was still fun, but we're excited and have been working through a lot of complications, as you can imagine, fitting a whole different engine family into a chassis. Now, an SC did have a V8 engine, but the 2UR that the ISF has is just dimensionally every which direction harder to fit. And we've done a ton of subframe fabrication, and it's close. We're trying to use as many off-the-shelf parts as possible because, again, we don't like building and parking cars. Tavares has way too big of a collection, so a lot of them sit, but we build cars that are capable of being driven. Like a finished project to us is one that doesn't have error lights, and if you wanted to, you're going across the country. Like you jump in and just drive. You don't have to worry about it. And there's so many cars that just really don't help. And no, I didn't think to send people over here for a live stream. I'll send them the link afterwards.
How is that electronic wise when you're swapping that over? Is that an electronic nightmare?
It is catastrophic. Thankfully, a 2008 is not as much CAN based. There is a lot of CAN communication, but it's not like these modern cars where, like the Dodge Charger that we just did for the Roadkill Nights event, even the headlights are like CAN pulse width modulated. Like it's insane. So our goal is to transplant all of the wiring and electronics into the SC. So for the most part, all the computers think they're still living in an ISF. So that's how we're going to try to get around it. Set up some Fooler modules for just component. We only have one set of doors, so we're going to have some Fooler modules to keep it happy about not having back doors and things like that. But that's going to be fun. And the worst part about wiring when it comes to YouTube is you've experienced this building cars, even with classic hot rod cars. You can only show so much wiring, and it'll take you 3 to 4 days building a harness, and it'll become 3-4 minutes of a video. So
Where'd you get the donor card? Was that off a Copart? It looks like it was hitting the front or something.
So that was Facebook Marketplace. That was a project someone bought to rebuild with his son, and it just sat and sat and sat, and they kept wanting to get it. And Freddie started looking, Tavares started looking and found it and reached out to him. And the guy was kind of excited that, hey, his car was finally going to get rebuilt by someone.
Right.
Unfortunately, not quite. Sort of, but not quite. So
kind of, sort of, but not really. Yeah. I got you. So I got I can lay my hands on a 63 Volvo, the one that looks like a street rod, the real round one.
Yeah.
And it's a 2-door. And I was pondering either putting a Honda V6 in it from an Odyssey, turning it 90 degrees and make it rear wheel drive, or one of those V8 Lexus engines. I mean, I can lay my hands on it. I just haven't done it. But I think that would be pretty crazy.
Oh, that would be a blast. So the V8 you'd probably want to use would be the 1UZ, the 4-liter from like the LS400, the slightly older one, I think.
I got to write that down, the 1UZ.
Yeah. they're much more plentiful, and the Australians have everything for it. Independent throttle body kits, supercharger adapter plates, everything you could want. Or again, the J engine out of the Odyssey, those things are insane. You've got like the boosted boys and some of the stuff they do with them. You can slap a turbo and make put a small amount of boost through it, and they absolutely scream. So both of them are good engines and very plentiful, so they don't destroy your bank account buying them.
Right. But I've been kicking it around because I know I have to do some foreign car stuff. I know that.
Yeah.
I just, I got enough American stuff that I started that I got to finish. But once I get a couple of those knocked out, I'm seriously going to look at something that's along those lines.
Starting the project is the easy part.
Yeah. Right.
Yeah. You're right. But I do all that heavy chassis work. So it takes me a while to get it all done. Because for me, it's no big deal to do a chassis and send the car home, with the engine in it, and that's it. And I'm done with it. So I don't complete cars. I don't do big builds like that anymore where I do everything. So I'm getting back into it, and then I'll just go from there. But, it's just one of those things. David also says he has a 94 IS 400 complete. There it is.
Yeah, the LS 400. That's the big 4-door luxury sedan. That 94 should have the forged crank. They got a little bit weaker later on, so that's the donor you want to start from. So,
damn it, man.
How much, David? How much? $1. We're at $1. Let's talk about the limo. Jared, let's go. Let's talk about the limo.
The limo, the rare, weird, and odd vehicles that no one should ever have created. So, on the Dust Ball rallies that we do, how Freddie, Tavares, and I met, we were joking and saying they needed to do. A lot of these people don't know how to turn a wrench, and we said they should do kind of a rally where you could only spend $1,000 on a car. And they went and decided to do this rally where you could only spend $100 or $1,000 on a car. And we didn't want to do it in just any normal vehicle. So we did a whole lot of hunting, and I found this 1985 Honda Accord limousine. This is after the rally, stickered up, where the route was El Paso to Vegas. Trump Tower was the finish line. And normally you run police countermeasures, radios, all kinds of technology. And we were allowed to have paper maps only. No cell phones.
That's awesome.
But I argued to have my cell phone. My wife was having some health issues beforehand, and I said, I need my cell phone just in case she calls, but I'm not going to cheat with it. So we set out, and almost immediately the thing's overheating because as we were preparing the car, we had two options at the very end. We could buy the Boomerang TV antenna for the TV we didn't have, or we could buy the electronic thermo switch to turn the fans on. Lou, you need to buy it from David if it's running.
Oh, man. God, $300.
$100 you need some wheels. There you go.
I don't care about the 20s.
David, where are you located? Lou will be there in the morning, 8 a.m.
That's a good price. If it starts up and runs, that's a good price for a car. But,
John's going to be sending you the money, David.
But we had the option of putting the factory fan switch in it or buying that antenna and just doing a manual switch.
Antenna, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Well, the problem is we had to we started off from a really nice hotel in El Paso that was valet only. And I tried to explain to the valets that they had to turn the fan switch on by hand. And we go to the driver's meeting the night before the rally starts, and the thing's been idling and there's puking coolant everywhere. No fans turned on. So that set it down the path to failure. So we were driving the whole first day through the desert. I think it was 141 through some copper mine, where we've pulled the grill out, we pulled the AC condenser out, we've got the hood strapped to the roof, like everything you can to try to help it. I'm slowly retarding the timing to lower combustion temperatures just to keep it from overheating. And what it's doing now is pushing the coolant into the overflow. So every 25 minutes, we have to stop, crack open the radiator, pour the coolant back in, and go on. And one other of the Daredevil teams was hanging out with us, and we are just limping along. All the teams are getting to the hotel. About 4 o'clock was the last one. And it's now 10 o'clock and we're still not there. And Andy Medley, the organizer, I suddenly hear my phone ringing and I look, it's not my wife, so I ignore it. And then he shoots text. He's like, Jared, this is Andy with Dustball. Are you guys okay? And is David with you? David Meduna, who was in the other Daredevil car, just making sure we made it. And I just reply back. I'm like, yes, we're okay. Following the rules, mechanical trouble. Dave is with us. Please have beers, because I figured it would close before we got there. And, we made it our goal to make it before midnight, and we're running through Monument Valley, pitch black, and can't see a thing. But it's now cool enough outside that we're not having to pull over. And I'm driving this last stretch, and I'm like, we need to hit 100 miles an hour in this thing. So we've got a couple guys in the back. I'm hammered down, and it's like 89, 90, 93. 91. And then after this super long ordeal, we finally hit 101. And I don't know that anyone has ever been more excited to take 2 minutes to reach 100 miles an hour, but we did it. And then the following morning, we did everything we could. We tried head gasket in a can, we retorqued the head, and we set out. And within the first 5 minutes, it just said it was done. So we hated the car at the beginning of the first day, fell in love with it by the end of the first day. So we shipped it back to Georgia, where we've gotten a 2002 Jetta TDI diesel. We are taking the entire suspension, subframe, engine, drivetrain, everything, translating it into the limo. We've got $10,000 or so in hot rod parts from Darkside Development out of the UK. We got the 6-speed so we can maintain a high speed. We're going to do all the body work to make it nice, a nice interior. That was what was left of the poor Jetta. I mean, we cut everything we could out of it. Oh, you can actually see the Scout a little bit in the background there too. But so we gutted that thing, and we started working on it a little bit, and then that slowed down just as we're trying to juggle all of the projects for the channel between travel, everything. It's hard to balance. And usable shop space had made that project very difficult. So, and we had the initial target date for when we were going to run it, and it ended up being right in the middle of the initial lockdown of everything with COVID, wave 1, and the rally was canceled. So it lost its hard deadline. So you kind of lose focus a little bit on it, but I'm really excited to drag that thing back out of its storage unit, get it into the shop space, and get started working on that a little bit, because everyone needs a 85 Honda Accord limo with 450, 500 foot-pounds of torque. I mean, why not?
Yeah. I'm with you.
The whole
John, we
story
need to do the dust ball. we need to do the dust ball, John.
Jared, what's the nickname for this car?
So it's Honda Rousey.
I love that name. I saw that and I was like,
Rousey.
You know what? That's creative.
Well, because we were just talking about how big of a beating she kept taking and getting up. But then finally the copper mine on 141, I think we nicknamed that road, what is it, Katie Holmes? I think, was that the one who knocked Honda or Ronda Rousey out? I can't remember exactly.
I think it was. Yeah.
We nicknamed that road as her ultimate demise, but it was a ton of fun. The whole premise of an Accord limo, that I can't remember the guy's name, but he wanted to build 300 of them. He made it through 18 or so. 3 or 4 still exist. Ours is the most optioned of the ones that were still around, but he figured in the 80s there were going to be wealthy people that wanted to travel in luxury but show they were environmentally conscious. So
That car is rare. It's worth a lot of money, you know.
Yeah, absolutely.
I never even heard of a Honda Accord limo.
Chop that shit
Still
up.
today. I've been educated. I know now what I have missed in my life.
Just because you can doesn't mean you should.
Doesn't mean you should.
For real.
You know what would have made that really cool? If it was an Accord wagon turned into a limo.
Look, I probably could track down. I have a whole nother 84 that in my latest video actually showed for the first time that it's going to get cut up. And there's some people sad to see a relatively good Honda get cut up. And maybe I could find a wagon and convert it to a wagon in the back half. I only need the back section of it. So.
Yeah, you just need the C-pillar and back. That's all you need. That's all you need. I mean, why not? You changed it up for a different race, different, make it a different look, and you get some chandeliers.
Oh,
you know how the cars from the teens had the gas lanterns.
Yeah,
get some of them and hang them in the back.
Place. Like even building that car for the race, we were on such a budget. The canvas top, a couple doors down from my old shop, was a gunsmith company, and they had some military trucks. And that was their Deuce and a Half's old canvas top that they just gave me. I drug over. Across the way was a large air compressor company, and I raided their scrap copper bin and hammered flat copper piping to bend to be like a little nail rail so I could hold the canvas top on, because there was so much rust it needed something on top of it. So
oh my god,
free doesn't count against the budget. So
yeah, free doesn't. I get it, dude. That's funny. I'm gonna have to take a trip down there and see that thing. It's just that simple.
Jared, let's back up. You were born in Germany. How's that all? How do you get here, and how do you get started in cars? What's your influences?
Yeah, so just kind of the whole startup. Father was military man, so born on the Army base, and then he moved back stateside pretty young. Settled into Rockford, Illinois, growing up, and in Rockford we had a great local speedway, the Rockford Speedway. Little, what was it? I think 3/8 paved, high banked circle track. Loved to go out there as a kid. No one in my family is a car guy at all.
Really.
There's not mechanics, nothing. Like, I am out of left field. But just growing up, I love to take things apart, figure out how it worked, put it back together, fix broken things. Every time our neighborhood would have a junk day, I would go. If it had a motor, it'd come to our yard, and I'd fixed up the lawnmowers because I needed money for all the projects. So then I would fix up the lawnmowers, go mow lawns in the neighborhood. And we'd set up and do demo derbies with push mowers and riding mowers and just other dumb kid things in the cornfields of Rockford, Illinois. Then that graduated on to me looking at a bicycle and learning gear ratio. I'm like, well, as I'm shifting, the gears do this, I can go faster.
Right.
So we had a snapper mower, and I made some gears for it. Terrible gears that kept spitting chains, but it worked. And took off down the road, and accelerated incredibly slowly because I'm still learning about gear ratios. I'm 10 or 11 at this point, and I have my mom follow me one time through the neighborhood to see how fast I could go. As on the snapper, I finally stretched up, and we're going 34 miles an hour on a mower with little friction brakes, and my mom's cheering me, calling out speed to me. So
man, that'd be cool to have video of that. You know that?
Cell phones weren't even around back then, so I think we're pretty safe. But maybe I should revisit some of the crazy projects and things that somehow should have killed me and see if they can get me on round 2. But then moved on, just loving to make things go fast. Bought an old 77 Impala race car for Rockford Speedway. Went and raced there a little bit. First night out, it was partway into the season, so they did an inverted points grid for qualifying. So I'm on the front line, and they decided to rough up this young kid, and we go into the first corner, and they just drive through me, turn me sideways, and I'm spinning, and then I kind of hook a little bit and look at my foot. And things you should do before your race: inspect the quality of your roll cage, or even before you buy the car. I noticed that the left front section of roll cage wasn't connected to the frame anymore. The frame was about 3 inches below, and I'm about to get hit there. And somehow, sawing on the wheel, I spin one more time and get hit square in the right rear wheel, spin down into the grass. I see a tire take off down the backstretch, and I'm like, that's not mine. And I just floor it. and just throw dust and dirt everywhere and don't move anywhere, because that was in fact my tire. It finished better than I did my first night out. It made it all the way to turn 3. I didn't make it out of turn 2. So as they're hooking up the tow truck, I'm seeing all these little springs and things thrown into my back of my car. I'm like, what is that? Well, those are drum brakes. I learned all about drum brakes and didn't have money to afford to put all that back on. So my race car for the rest of the time didn't have rear brakes, which you didn't really need at that circle track. So had fun just kind of racing around there. What then kind of moved me from that into loving road racing, going onto the road course, and, you know, just all nature of driving is I was doing a church service project. We were actually helping a couple re-roof their house, you know, where you put 15-year-old guys up on a roof to to do a new roof. And I needed a ride home, and there's just this very quiet person that you would never suspect being a car guy. He's like, oh, I'll give you a ride home. And we finish up, and I'm walking over looking for his car, and there's a stickered up SCCA spec first gen MR2. And he's like, oh, that's my car there. And I'm like, okay. So I jump in, and he turns to start helping me figure out my 5-point seat belt, and I'm already buckled in. He's like, all right. And as we're going along, there's a cloverleaf on ramp to the interstate, which was marked 25 miles an hour. And he's in this thing just hooked, and we're going 75 or 80. And like, it just was glued to the ground. And I'm like, I love this. Like, we're going to keep on going. We're going to keep on making things go fast. So just through tinkering, moved out to Washington and worked at kind of a grandfather in-law's shop somehow, like a married in family member had a workshop, worked there for a little bit, bought my first car, which was a 82 Toyota Supra, and hot rodded that a little bit. My very first turbo kit had PVC intercooler piping, because that's what I could afford.
Sweet.
Glued together. You don't have to worry about the pipes blowing apart, but if you have to service the car, it's slightly inconvenient. But just kind of picked up the trade, then ended up moving out to Georgia where my wife lived, worked at a Firestone dealership, and was late one day because I spent 3 days getting the shop ready for a corporate inspection and had all of 30 minutes of sleep. So I was in 4 minutes late and was put on a 3-day suspension for hurting the shop by not showing up on time. And I'm like, I was the only one here for the past 3 nights all night, but okay. So first day I was angry. Second day I went to the Toyota dealership and was hired on the spot. Said, hey, I'd like to put in 2 weeks notice. And the service manager was like, I appreciate that you want to do that, but remember what they just did to you. And I'm like, fair point. So the third day of my suspension, I went and picked up my toolbox and started working at Toyota, which just kind of honed, you know, my skill, loving the imports and learning more with their the dealership atmosphere. It was a really great family dealership. They reinvested a lot in technicians. Anyone who's trying to get started in the business, one, there's a huge need for qualified technicians. And none of us started off qualified day one. So if you have an interest and a desire, don't be afraid to go into a place with no experience. Understand that you're going to have to learn and you'll make mistakes. But if you find the right location, they are going to train you. They are going to help make you a really good mechanic that's going to give you a profitable career, because again, there's a huge need right now. So if you have an interest, don't be afraid to pursue it, because you know, I can't tell you the number of people asking me if I know anyone who's looking for work, but they would send us to school.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was going to say, so they'd send us down to Toyota training, and I would be down for a 3-day course, find out that there was another class that I needed to reach basically all my certifications the rest of the week. So I'd call my service manager and say, hey, you don't need to pay me these 2 days. Can I stay down so I can finish this other class too? Which pushed me into a position where I was the youngest Toyota Master Diagnostic Tech certified technician in the U.S. Southeast Toyota was trying to get me to come on as an instructor, but there was a big head game where I couldn't get over the fact that at age 20, I would be standing in front of 50-year-olds teaching them. And I couldn't do that. Like, that was something in my head that I couldn't get over. But it's always about those paths. Had I went and chose to be an instructor, I wouldn't be here right now. And, you know, it's a heck of a ride. Right. It's a blast. So
when I was doing, when George W. Bush was in office, he had someone in that administration had commissioned a study to be done, and they were talking about the whole mechanics field, from Jiffy Lube all the way to custom. You know what I mean? And it was from Virginia over to Tennessee and down to Florida. They said that there would be 30,000 unfilled jobs in just in the world that we live in, the mechanic world. And I thought that was heavy equipment, that was oil changes, that was if you spun wrenches, there's going to be, and that's how bad they need these people. It's crazy. And I would have never thought that, I mean, I just never thought of it like that, but it's a pretty serious problem. Yeah. It's nuts, but it's just the way it is, I guess. So, John, what else you got? I know. Let's talk about the Dust Bowl rally. I'm really intrigued by this. So when is it? Is it a different place every time? What's the deal with it?
So with the Dust Bowl rally, you've actually there's quite a different number of ways of experiencing it. They have their main events, which are advertised as 2,000 miles. They can be as much as 2,500 miles. And this year's route was Houston to Buffalo. It was going to be Toronto, but Canada's borders were closed. And all for the main event is you start in Houston, and by Friday, you're going to be in Buffalo. You don't know each night where you're going to stop. You have to have driver navigator. The navigator is solving riddles and problems and gimmicks along the way to figure out your route turn by turn. Also along the way, there's there's again additional riddles for signs on the roadside that gives you some historical information or a picture of something on a building. And those are called the gimmicks. If you find all the gimmicks and get the most gimmick answers correct, you then win free entry to the next year, which is between $3,200 and $4,000 prize. Like it's a big deal. So those are the main event rallies. Next year is Seattle to San Diego, and they've already sold out 50 spots, which is insane to already be sold out more than a year in advance. They then have the 1,000 mile rallies, which take over, just about 3 days. They're usually based a lot of times it's El Paso to Vegas with just a different route through there. And those are the same thing where you get a route sheet each morning. You don't know where you're at the second night. And then the good entry level, if you just kind of want to experience what the rally is, are the GTs, which are a kind of guided tour. I think there's only 4 or 5 spots left. There's the Bootleggers Run coming up, which is November 18th to 20th. It's the first time that they're running this close to Thanksgiving, and that was partially my fault because it was going to be SEMA weekend, and I was like, guys, I can't come, so they rescheduled it. And they're for the first time, which is a really cool thing, they're holding the Dust Bowl Thanksgiving, where we're catering in a Thanksgiving dinner at a very cool special location that I may have revealed today in today's video about my new shop. So it's a really cool event. And again, you get out on forgotten roads. Any car is a perfect rally car. You can be there in this year we had, I believe, a 458 Ferrari, and what would be the low car? I mean, you could almost call my ISF the low car. There's a lot of really nice cars this year. People do it in rental cars. And you don't have cell service. You're off on these forgotten roads. You see parts of the country you'd never see. There are luxury rallies that people do where it's, a race to party. And this year was just absolutely insane. Some guys were there in a school bus, a short bus, and they had a fantastic time. So it's a really fantastic way to see the country. Meet amazing people. You have people, Fortune 500 CEOs to gift shop owners to us YouTubers. There's just every type of person shows up, and it's amazing.
Jared, talk about the new shop. Tell us what's going on. You said you put out a video today. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, so that shop coming in is a fantastic. Yeah, the finish line was Buffalo, Albert. That was a couple weeks ago, but the shop to me. So when my speed shop closed that I worked with, I had a ton of stuff. I had to move somewhere real quick. Friend had a space, and it initially worked out really well. But having to travel so much, I kind of kept getting pushed out, and it turned into a bad environment. So I just moved everything to storage to just get away from it. And I had been hunting and looking and working on a shop, and everyone was very confused when I said I wanted no road frontage. They're showing me these properties, and finally this guy got it. He had this beautiful 2,400 square foot building tucked in the very back of his property. You hear chickens off in the distance, and all you see is trees in the background. Complete blank slate. Just started moving into it. 2 huge doors, wide open ceiling, skylights. That's
awesome.
It's amazing, because literally in all of my wrenching, I don't even have a garage at my house. We have a gravel driveway. I've never put up a garage. For 3 months, I had my mom's garage to kind of sort of work out of sometimes when, all of our stuff from the move wasn't in it. So this is the first time I've got my space, and it's just, it's awesome that because of such a huge support, all of the people who follow on YouTube, watch the videos, that encouragement to just keep pushing and figuring it out, because some of the people say, why don't you move to Florida? One, the housing market is just insane right now. It makes no sense to if I could sell my house and just live in a camper, I would do it, because my house is almost tripled in value, but you can't buy anything. 2, I love Tavares, love his family. I hate Florida. It is, especially the part he lives in. He is in middle Florida, where you have the humidity, you have the bugs, you have all the negatives, and you don't have a beach anywhere. You got to drive.
Yeah.
And again, loving driving roads. I'm in North Georgia. I'm 40-ish minutes to some of the greatest tourist roads that people come from across the whole country. That's my daily routine. So it's kind of hard to give that up. And the wife isn't the biggest fan of leaving those roads as well. She got into cars from our 89 Supra that we used to go to the drag strip, built her a Lexus that she would go with nitrous and hurt a whole lot of feelings. And she'll send me a text of hey, I had a bad day, took the ISF out. Man, I love the feeling when it just pins you in the seat. You kind of forget about all the problems. So, didn't want to take it away. So finding a shop here for right now was necessary, because I had to move a whole lot. I travel a ton between Car Trek, between filming Tavares and Wrench Everyday videos in Florida, trying to film here in Georgia. It's insane. I don't ever want to sound like I'm complaining, because the events and everything I get to do are unbelievable. Going up and hanging out with the CEO of Dodge at Roadkill Nights, then coming back to get to move into my own shop, to going to Daytona this weekend. We're going to SEMA. Again, there's so many fantastic opportunities, but it is a lot of work. I've had people comment and say, "Oh, it must be nice, you have all this free time," and it's I put more hours in now than I've ever done. It is. If you're not sleeping, you're working.
So got to build the brand. Got to keep the brand popular. Speaking of, I saw you got some new merch. And how do people get it? Where? Who?
So
plug yourself.
Yeah, absolutely. So Bunker Branding handles all of our merchandise from us. We've got a couple different shirts. One of our most popular designs stemmed from us breaking down on the way home from Car Trek. Was my Nissan Titan left us on the side of the road, and we had a bumper from it getting damaged in Car Trek Season 2 that we cut into 300 pieces, and we only sold 300 of them. It was a Wrench Everyday roadside assistance. If anyone saw the images of the Dodge Charger and that really cool livery that Tavares did, where it was roadside assistance, you're on your own. That's the Wrench Everyday motto, roadside assistance. You're on your own because you're going to be fixing your car. But we ran it limited edition, only 300. That was your only chance to get it. And we wanted to bring it back because it was such a cool design. It's now back in an unlimited version, which is black and orange instead of the safety orange shirt. So that's just come out. We've got some cool stickers. One of my favorite ones is a classic factory style. It's been X number of days since our last accident. It's been, blank number of days since I last wrenched on my car, because let's be honest, we're always having to fix our old hoopties. So
Is Bunker doing a storefront for you too, or you got to ship the stuff out? How's that work out?
Oh, so Bunker handles everything. We promote it and they do all the shipping. So everything is placed through them. If you've got problems, they handle it. If they're slow to respond, you can reach out to us and we can expedite it. But they'll handle everything for us. You can find us on Instagram, Wrench Everyday on Instagram, or I believe it's just Jared Pink on Instagram for me. Where we do some behind the scenes. You'll see some of the Car Trek stuff. You'll see all kinds of really cool stuff as much as we can back there. And as new merchandise comes before we can promote it in a video, you'll see it there as well.
Yeah, that's pretty cool.
Yeah. That's something that's something I got to do when I start doing my when I get back at it, is merch.
Yeah,
That's for
I already
sure.
got the mugs. I got the mugs. I'm not drinking out of it tonight, but
No whiskey tonight?
nah, I was drinking whatever this is here.
Whatever this is.
I'm in a clear glass.
Yeah.
It's empty.
So
can't
what projects you got coming up? What are you looking at lining up to do? Not counting the infamous limousine, but you know.
Yeah, not all the crazy things. Well, one that we didn't get too much into is the Nissan 300Z, where the super engine came back out of it. We're going to Earl Leaker, our 300ZX. It's getting a 454 big block. This is all Derek from Vice Grip Garage's fault. He came down to Florida, and we were going to film something together for Cletus and Cars, but Independence needed some work and love, so we spent the time getting it ready. I went out and hung out with him at Cletus and Cars and said, we need to do this. So when the Supra's engines became too expensive, Freddie took it back for another build on the main channel. I decided I want to do a 454 like Independent. So this Nissan 300ZX is getting an engine that my goal is for it to be taller than I am. I'm 6'7". So I've already got a tunnel ram for it. We're going to build an adapter hat, run an intercooler spacer, probably an 871, maybe two of them, just for the comedy. And then the biggest alky hat that we can on top of it. Because again, the goal is it needs to be taller than me. And we're taking a lot of the approach of building it as a boat motor. I could do the Australian method. A lot of people commented, why are you doing that? Just buy one of these. And I'm like, well, I don't have $80,000 for an engine. So we're going to try to build an iron block style boat motor with just lots of good torque. Because you need maybe 300 horsepower for a good burnout car. The rest of it's just for show. So that with the Power Glide, we've got that coming. With the new shop, I'm hopefully going to start rolling through some of the older projects. The one that's going to be most sentimental for me will be the 89 Toyota Supra. Again, that's the one that was like the first big car I bought when I moved to Georgia. It's the one the wife and I drove away from the wedding from. And it's getting about 1,000 horsepower 2JZ. I've got it built. I need to build the cylinder head. I've got the TH400 for it. And the goal is to make it, a mid 8-second car that the wife and I can do passes. Like, I don't know that she'll ever want to take a full trans brake hit in it and run faster than a 10, but I'll rip an 850, then she'll, run a 10 or 11 in it and just enjoy it and just have an absurd car, because she has fun driving to her doctor's office and just the different assortment of fast, weird, obscure cars that we've got. So
yeah. That's cool. So just so you know, have you ever seen The Blown Mafia?
I've heard, but I'm not going to say it's not.
Okay, well, that's Brad Gray. He works on heavy equipment. He works on rigs. He's less than a mile from me, and all of those. His thing is he doesn't care if people like it. He builds those 70s style show cars with twin turbos, double blowers, nitrous, just for GP, just because he can. Yeah. But the thing is if you need info on that stuff, man, I can hook you up with Brad.
Oh, that's
all of his stuff works. You know what I mean? Like he's stacking blowers on top of. He's got all that stuff, and his Camaro, his '69 Camaro, was in a commercial in California. Danny Trio, he has a couple of taco stands, and he saw somewhere on YouTube Brad's Camaro. So he had the production company track him down. He hauled it out there, and the car was in a commercial. But he's got a couple of them. He's got a '66 Chevy truck. I think it's a '64 Mustang. It's a coupe Mustang, and the Camaro. And he's getting ready to do a Scion XB, and he wants it taller than the roof.
That's going to be fun. So it's a little harder in the XB to get taller than the roof. The 300Z is so short. That's why I figured I'll be the measuring stick, 6'7".
Right.
So no, that would.
But I can hook you up with Brad. I can hook you up with Brad, man. I can hook you up with him. So it might. Hey, it's info. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Save some of the guesswork.
Yeah, somebody who's already done it and failed 4 times once can make it so I only have to fail twice. So
right, exactly.
The first one because I didn't listen to what he said to do.
Well, and it's funny because a few years ago, they had the auto fair at Charlotte, and Brad let all these little kids, they see the car and all that, and he always lets them get in the car, always. and I'm standing there talking to him, and this kid's in the car. So he goes, "Hold on a minute, Louis." He goes around to the other side and he sits in the car, and we're inside in the garages. And he goes to the kid. I can hear him tell the kid, "Hey, do you want to start it?" And the kid's like, "Yeah." He's like, "Okay, here's what we're gonna do." And he gets it all. So he goes like, "Push that button," and the thing farts like, "What?" and I'm talking to this other guy, and this guy's like, "Oh, that car's stupid. It's." I said, "Dude," I said, "You don't understand." I said, "That could be right there. That kid could be the next car guy. That's the next generation."
Right.
It doesn't matter what the car is. You look at the look on his face. The kid's
it's that
eyes
moment.
were plates. It was that moment. Yeah. Yeah. So that's what Brad does it for. He does it for that.
Yeah. Absolutely. And that's what I love too. Like Dust Ball, or anytime I'm out with the cars, that person that comes up to you, give them the time, because that may be their only experience ever with something like that. And you can hook and get someone else in this hobby, in this insanity. And that we need people, we need people wanting to keep this craziness going on.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh yeah. Believe me. My philosophy is, if you're going to watch me be an idiot on TV for a half hour of your life, I can give you 10 minutes.
Yeah.
That's my philosophy. Yeah. And it works. Well, dude, we're 16 minutes over.
Oh man. And we didn't even cover all our points.
No. We didn't even cover all of it. We never covered. John gets really excessive with it. I just ramble.
I gotta put an.
I'm just like, whatever sounds good, I'm going with.
If not, Lou will be talking about the military, 1968. One time, I got to keep.
I don't care. I'll talk about whatever. It doesn't matter to me.
You got to keep him focused. It's all good.
Oh man, it's a blast. Again, I just love getting to hang out and chat. We can talk cars, we can talk whatever we can come up with and have a conversation, because it's fun to hang out with you and have an audience out there too, getting to learn a little bit more. Again, like you said, you didn't plan to be on TV. I never planned to be on YouTube. I just happened to sell a part to someone and literally came out of nowhere into a fairly big channel in front of a whole lot of people. Built the Pimp My Ride van over again, and suddenly my sister's calling me from Seattle about being on the morning talk show. These guys rebuilding the minivan. So it's so cool to get a chance to come out and share a little bit of history and again, just have fun talking, because it's a blast, and I've never pictured being in the spot, so I want to enjoy every moment that I can.
Yeah. Just remember, everybody gets 15 minutes of fame. It's how you manage it that makes the difference. That's the deal. So yeah.
Take those 15 minutes to get it ready, so you can have at least another 15 in the wings.
Exactly. And there's John again.
That's when I had hair.
Kent's feeling better.
Yeah, they break up my balls every time. This is like a bad penny. I can't get rid of it. But I'm gonna have to go pull it off the hard drive.
All right. Well, I'm gonna sign us off. And Jared, thanks for coming on, man. I really appreciate it. Had a great time talking to you. And we'll keep you in the loop. You know what I mean? Who knows? I might show up one day. I don't know.
Let me know. Well, if you like internationals, 4 minutes from my shop is my friend's place. So I'll give him a call about your Traveler, and get me in touch about the blowers.
Yeah, I love them damn things. They're so awesome. Well, there you have it, everybody. We had I think another fantastic show. Jared is great. I really think, John, we need to do the Dust Ball. I think that's just cool. You know what I mean?
It does sound pretty cool, especially the off the beaten path part. Yeah,
we
get to see America.
Yeah,
right?
We jam some GoPros on the car so we can just ride around and get footage. I mean, why not? What the hell?
Got to find a junker or something. He says they rental cars, so we'll figure it out.
We'll figure something out.
Got to make time.
Yeah. We make it happen.
Travel all over the place, but we're good.
Yeah, that's cool. That's very cool. All right, everybody. I hope you guys had a really good. I hope you enjoyed the show. I think we had a good one, like I said a few minutes ago, and we're just gonna keep them coming. We're gonna do everything we can to make this show last, because it's all about documenting this history. Because in 20 years, someone might say, "Hey, that Jared Pink guy did an interview here." And people are going to look at it, because it's changing everybody's lives. And by everybody's lives, I mean car guys more than anything else, because those are the guys who want to be here. So, hey, enjoy the ride. I'm Lou Santiago. John, say goodnight.
Good night, guys. I'll talk to you next week. Later.